Okie dokie.
There we go. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this talk from me. My name is Bob, and I'm the research lead at Mondrem. So Mondrem are a public service consultancy based here at Keele in IC6. So it's sort of attached to the business school. So Mondrem we're a not-for-profit company who work with public services, predominantly like local authorities, so councils and their planning departments, and we work on improvement projects with a focus on well-being and professional satisfaction. So we work with local authorities on their processes, and work with management teams to try and improve the experience for their staff and also for customers, so the public essentially. And I graduated from Keele this summer, just gone, after studying a history undergraduate degree. So I'm just going to start by speaking about my experiences as a Keele student, and then obviously over the last few months and how that materialized. And then I'll pull up a few slides in about 20 minutes time to show you, and then I'll open it up to you guys, because it'd be good to hear perhaps from some of you if you want to speak about your experiences, about what you're currently doing now if you're studying at Keele, and perhaps to understand what you'd like to do after your time at Keele. So it's important to preface anything I'm about to say with the fact that I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do once I finished my degree. Even as late as December last year, I still didn't know if I was going to carry on studying. I didn't know if I was going to go and get a job. I felt quite daunted and overwhelmed, and had a lot of conversations with my family about what was going to happen next, because I had no idea. And I felt quite alone in that sense, because I thought that I thought typically you should have an idea about what you're doing by the time you're halfway through your third year, but I didn't. So history undergraduate, it felt like my career prospects were limited. So I originally studied history purely on the basis that it was a subject I enjoy, and it's a subject that I did well in at GCSE, at A levels, and I've always been quite an inquisitive person. So studying the past, it suits my sort of curiosity to learn about historical events and different periods in history. But yeah, I felt like my career prospects were limited. I was good at writing historical essays about the civil rights era and about the church in the 11th century, but I had no idea how I could apply this to a real world setting. I felt, so I was quite worried about that. So even though I was achieving high grades during my undergraduate degree, and I was doing really well and enjoying it, but there was this constant niggle in the back of my mind throughout my time at Keele, thinking, well, what's going to happen next? 3 years feels like quite a long time, but believe me, it soon goes, and you come to that stage where you're looking at yourself and thinking, what is next? So like I said, it was the end of semester 1 in my final year, and I started to frantically look at the different options. And like I said, it was either a case of, do I go on and do further study, whether that be a master's in history or a master's in something completely different, or do I try and find a job? But even then, I couldn't settle on exactly what I wanted to do. So I went to see the careers team at Keele a couple of times, and they were brilliant. I had 2 appointments with Ben, who's actually in the background of this call, just observing. So I did have a couple of calls with Ben, and they in the library, and they were extremely useful. Gave me some great guidance on where I should be looking. And after a couple of open days, I went to Salford University to have a look at their journalism course. And I was doing quite a lot of writing at the time. I had my own website following Preston North End Football Club, and I was doing a lot of blogging, a lot of posting on social media, all that sort of stuff, appearing on the odd podcast. So I decided that I was going to focus on what I enjoy and study and go and try and find either work experience or a master's in journalism. So yeah, it was, but before that I'd flitted from everything from occupational therapy to counselling, like so many options I'd looked through. And I was, even though I decided journalism seemed like the right option for me, I still wasn't completely sold on it. So I must admit, it was around December time last year, and I was becoming quite worried. But at the same time, I was looking at these different options for further study and for jobs. I was also keeping a constant eye on the Keele internships emails. So obviously I don't get these anymore because I've now graduated, but well, actually I do get the ones for graduate opportunities, but I don't check them like I used to. But I was constantly checking the Keele internships emails and the website, looking at some of the internship opportunities, and there were quite a few that seemed to really suit what I wanted to do. So like I said, I was really into my writing, predominantly about sport, and did a little bit of writing about music. So there was a few content creator internships that Keele internships were advertising. And one of those, which came up in December, was for a content creator at a company called Mondrem. And it was a short-term, sort of 6 months, I think, or 280 hours internship. And my eyes instantly lit up. I read the job description, and it seemed to just suit me perfectly. So I applied to that without a second thought. And it just seemed really, I was really excited and just to give it a go and to go to the interview and to sort of hopefully get the job. As it turned out, I didn't get the role that I applied for, but Mondrem still wanted to employ me. So they took me on as the research lead, and they also employed another intern as a content creator, who I work with very closely now. So it was quite interesting being told that I didn't get the job I applied for, but they still were offering me a position. So which felt great. So I joined Mondrem and started work in around January, February, just before COVID-19 really became prevalent in the UK. And initially, day, and Mondrem, the office, like I said, is based in IC6, in Smart Innovation Hub. So I was still obviously doing my studies and just working 10 hours a week with Mondrem, some of it in the office, some of it remotely. And I was really, it was absolutely just better than I could have imagined. So I felt really supported by the team. So by Mike, who's the director, and Lucy, who is the projects lead. I got plenty of support, lots of feedback on the content that I was writing. So initially I did research into the background of the company. That was sort of the first piece of work that I did. And then I did a lot of writing for the website. So a lot of marketing material as well, about past projects and different successes. And I was really enjoying it. And but then all of a sudden, just a few weeks into that, obviously lockdown, and obviously it seemed to be quite instant. It seemed like 1 minute we were going into uni, we could go into the office, and then all of a sudden just complete shutdown. And obviously everyone was reacting sort of ad hoc. No one quite knew how to respond to the pandemic, but everything did obviously lock down, which at first was quite concerning, because it was obviously wondering, well, what's going to happen next? But luckily, so even though society seemed to come to a pause, the internship continued. Mondrem, we were an incredibly forward-thinking company, and we adapted rapidly to the pandemic and the way we delivered our sort of our consultancy and our client projects. And over the lockdown, we started to have so everything. We already worked on Microsoft Teams, like we're using now. So we already used that before lockdown, but we started to use that for everything, and it worked really well. There's a lot of great functionality on Teams. There's lots of things you can do, and lots of different things that you can adapt and manipulate to suit your sort of needs. And then we started having weekly team meetings, weekly one-to-ones. So I felt incredibly supported, which was great. And during this time, things actually improved in a lot of ways for me personally. So I was still able to do university work. I was still working at Mondrem, and I actually began to be given more responsibility. And immediately I was given sort of a lead role in different things. And I began to work quite closely with Mondrem's client base, which was a really good feeling. It felt like my sort of contributions were valued. And so, yeah, it was things were looking good, and Mondrem adapted quickly. So during my time so far, despite everything that's been going on, personally, these have been some of the most professionally rewarding months in my life, and graduated Keele with a first in history, and went on to become. So after my internship ended, I was offered a permanent position with Mondrem, and as of this week, I've just gone full time. So things have really progressed well, and I've just sort of thrown myself into it. Started as the research lead, but now it's sort of developed into much more, and I've been given a lot of responsibility, supporting the director of the company, and sort of helping to make sort of even like high level decisions, which I never expected would be the case. So I think it's one of those things that it's turned out, something that turned out as I thought I'd just be producing content for the website and for social media, which was great. That was ideal. It's sort of transpired and morphed into something completely different, and I've sort of made the role my own and taken on new responsibilities and sort of just run with it, really. So it's been great. Remote working has been a revelation, and like I said, Teams has a lot of functionality. And at Mondrem, we've become Teams experts, and we sort of use a lot of the functionality, and we know how to make the most out of the Microsoft Office suite, which is obviously helpful. So at the minute, it's been a mix between office working and working from home. Personally, that suits me really well. I think it's important to have time, especially during the time when you're training in a position, to have time in the office with colleagues. But there's also so many benefits to working remotely that I just didn't even consider. There's so many functions like sharing your screen, and just being able to do things that you wouldn't be able to do in the office. So it's worked out really well, despite obviously the current situation, and it's worked out in a way that I never expected was possible. And that's something I'd really like to emphasize, that even though currently the situation doesn't look great for the job market and for the economy, there are a lot of SMEs out there, small businesses that are incredibly forward thinking and that have adapted and that are using sort of remote working, and it's obviously working really well. And there are a lot of companies that will start to provide new services and start to adapt their existing ones to suit this sort of new, this different world that we currently live in. So I think it's important not to become too daunted by everything that's going on. It is difficult at times, but I went from a position in December, as recently as December, so not even a year ago, having no idea at all what I was going to do, and having lots of conversations with my mum, with my dad, people trying to point me in different directions, to then just applying for an internship at Keele, and using that experience and just running with it and making it my own, and then just really using that opportunity, and it's turned out better than expected. I'll just before I open up to you guys and to have a bit more of a conversation and to see how things are for you. I just like to share my screen and some slides I've put together, just a bit of advice. 1 second. Let's have a look. So if I share this, and you'll have, I'm just wondering if this is visible to you.
Yeah, we can see what's on your screen at the moment. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, brilliant. So it's just a few points of advice. Early in my time with Mondrem, I was introduced to quite a renowned basketball coach called John Wooden, and he was an inspirational man, and he had an inspirational career as a basketball coach for his style of leadership and being able to use what some people would say were fairly limited basketball players, people who weren't particularly known for their ability, and being able to use them for what they can do and play to people's strengths. And they won countless his basketball team won countless titles, were incredibly successful, and his style of leadership was unique, but it became extremely renowned globally. And one of the things he said was, "Don't let what you can't do stop you from doing what you can do." And I think this really resonates, particularly currently during the pandemic. So even though it can feel like everything's been put on pause, everything's just stopped, it's important to look at what you still. And there's an awful lot available out there that you won't have even thought about yet. And there's a lot of ways around some of the difficulties we feel at the minute. And I'd encourage everyone really to even just some of the TED Talks that John Wooden has given over the past are just really, really good to listen to. That's just something I'd really like to emphasize. I think it's also important to think about the unimaginable, which seems like a really stupid thing to say, but there's so many things that you haven't thought about yet. So as human beings, we can become constrained by experience and convention. So we only think about the things that we've experienced, and there's so much outside of that which we have just never even considered. So before working for Mondrem, I would never have considered working for a public service consultancy. I'd never considered consultancy as a career option, but as it turns out, it's something that I like to think I'm doing well at, and it's something that I really enjoy too. So even though it wasn't I'd never thought about it. It's turned out to be something that I really enjoy and I'm doing quite well at. So yeah, it's important to try and look past the constraints that we all set ourselves intrinsically as people. We all tend to look at our past experiences rather than things outside of that. Another thing that I've found really important is this idea of human connections. So being authentic and bringing your whole self to work. So trying to look past anything that we conceive as weaknesses within ourselves and using those to our advantage, and being open and being honest and being completely authentic in the things that we do. And if you know, and like this idea of bringing your whole self to work, and just opening yourselves up and trying to make those human connections, which are so important in everyday life, connecting with people, and being authentic. And that's one thing I've really learned during my time over the last few months. And that becomes more important now than ever before. Now everything's gone remote. Now we're not seeing as many people in our day-to-day lives. It's still so important to connect with people. So again, this idea that lots is still possible remotely. It can feel like the whole of everything's just sort of shut down, everything's been put on pause. But there's still a lot that we can do online. Like we're doing this talk now. Traditionally, these sorts of talks would have been done in person, but they still can be done remotely. I think it's also important to do what you enjoy and create time for your hobbies, because ultimately, even on the darkest of days, your hobbies are what will carry you through life. So it's important to, even though it can feel like we're living accelerated, busy lives, it's important to try and make that time to do the things that you enjoy, whether that's playing in a band, playing a sport. Obviously, these things are a bit more difficult now, but personally, I play in the Keele brass band, which has been put on. Well, I did play, and I'm still playing as an alumni and as a graduate. So it's still important to make that time to do those things. And also, if you can, turn your hobbies into something you could do professionally. So like a content creator internship, for example, before that I was writing for my own blog, I was appearing on podcasts, I was producing a lot of written content. And if you can find an internship or a job that fits alongside your hobbies, then great, because if you do something you enjoy, then you're going to be much more enthusiastic, and you're going to end up taking your whole self to work because it's something that you enjoy. So obviously that is it in terms of my advice. I'll just pull us back onto the I'll just unshare. So yeah, that is everything that I've got to say. But it'd be good to hear from some of you guys, if you're happy to speak, to find out, firstly, what are you doing now, and secondly, whether is there anything you're looking to do once university's finished, and also it'd be good to find out how you're finding things at the minute during the pandemic. How have you managed to cope? Yeah, so if anyone would like to speak, please do. Yep, Findlay, I've just seen you've raised your hand.
Yeah, hi. As a fellow history student, I'm in my third year at the moment, and it's just interesting to hear about you talk about. I've had similar thoughts where you think, oh, history is a very niche subject. There's not a lot of jobs that you can really go into apart from, maybe teaching, and that's kind of what I'm going into at the moment. But it's just it's daunting to think, okay, you go into teaching and then what? You just do teaching for the rest of your life, or do you try something else if you don't enjoy teaching? So it's just been interesting to try and find to hear what you said. Try and find a hobby or something else that you enjoy, and or try and see other opportunities like that you had.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if teaching is what you want to do, 100% go with that. But also, if you do see an internship, for example, with Keele, or another opportunity pop up, don't be afraid to alter your perception on what you want to do and to go for that. I think ultimately, I'm not. I've only just graduated and started my career, but so I've got a fairly limited perception of what about this, but it is really important to find stuff that you enjoy and to also be open to different options. So if, for example, for history, obviously a major part of history is writing, is research. And if you did find, if say, for example, like me, I really enjoyed writing and I saw a role as a content creator as an internship, and I just thought that will work really well alongside my degree, and it was manageable. I think I thought, am I going to be able to manage this alongside my third year? But it was doable, and it was, yeah, it was incredibly beneficial to be doing something that to be writing and to be doing something that did connect with my degree, albeit I was writing about a different subject. I was writing about public services, but as it turned out, it's been something I've really enjoyed. So it is, yeah, definitely echo what you said. And if you teaching is something I also looked at, but I think it's always good to have to be thinking about other things as well that you might enjoy, and to sometimes just to think outside the box and to look at things that you wouldn't have considered before. But yeah, no, how have you found your third year so far, and obviously everything being, so I presume your second year would have also been affected by lockdown. So how have you found it?
It was just a lot more difficult, obviously. I mean, with the second year, we had the I don't know if you had it. We had like sources and debates, which you had like your independent research topic, and that was really hard to do because I didn't have access to any of the resources that the Keele library had and everything. So that really put a damper on my academic grades. But at the moment, it's being okay. The library being open, I would rather be in lockdown at Keele than at home because I have a lot more resources for research, and I feel like I'm a lot more productive at university.
Yeah, no, I found the same thing, especially as a history student. Having access to the library is such an important source of information. I mean, I had exactly the same problems with access to information. So when lockdown came in March time, I was obviously in the middle of my third year. So in terms of my dissertation, it made things slightly more tricky. Although it was quite remarkable how much was available online and how many different places had made resources accessible online that previously weren't. I think one of the most important things, and this is relatable to anyone, not just history students, but keep in contact with tutors and with your lecturers, and always being completely open and honest with them if you're struggling, for example, for things like resources and access to information. It's important to raise the flag at the earliest possible point and to have that dialogue with them. My dissertation supervisor last year was was really good, and really helpful in terms of pointing me in a direction and signposting resources. And we did have fairly regular meetings to look at how things were progressing. And even though it was, obviously, you lose that personal connection a little bit with it not being in person, but I still managed to make the most of it online, and I think it is important to keep stay connected with your department. So I presume now most things will be online, or is anything still happening in person?
There's a few. I think they're doing like a hybrid sort of system where you have like an in-person 2-hour seminar every 2 weeks for every module, and the dissertation module, I think they have like a meeting every 2 weeks, and then you have a weekly meeting one-to-one with your seminar tutor to just see how your dissertation tutor to just see how things are coming along.
Yeah. I think it's really good to have that support. Is Keele internships or doing an internship ever something you've considered?
I remember I did look into it because a couple of my friends who do other courses at different universities, some they're doing maths or biology or marketing and stuff like that, to say, hey, if you feel trapped in your subject, why don't you just go and look at and it's an internship and try them. But all the ones I looked at were things that I thought, I looked at them and I thought they wouldn't want a history student on those. They want somebody else on those. They would want a business major. So it was something like, I remember I saw one that said you'd be working with like a marketing team. And I was like, and I saw that and I was like, I wouldn't be able to help much there. They'd probably want someone with experience in marketing or business or something. So it feels with a subject like history, you self-doubt yourself because you feel you're limited with the skills that you have to apply them to different internships.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same. And a lot of the time when I was applying, so I started properly looking at internships about this time last year. A lot of the time I thought, well, why would they want a history student when they could have a marketing student or a business student and someone with much more sort of what I thought would be specialized skills. But I think you can, it is tempting to self-doubt what you're capable of. But there are a lot of transferable skills with history in terms of the writing and the research. And as I found, I've ended up, I think a lot of the things that you're looking at, I think if you wanted to get an internship, I'd say, well, what just go for it and sell yourself and look at what you're good at as a history student, things like presentation, communication, writing, and apply those to something that you want to do. So whether that's if that's something like working with a marketing team, there's a lot that a historian could bring to that, because you've got to look at it from the perspective that as someone who hasn't studied marketing directly, you might bring a completely different point of view that could actually really help. And you're going to be great at writing, great at analyzing sources and information. So I definitely recommend applying for things if you want to, even if you think that you don't fit the box, because there's no reason why not. And if a lot of it boils down to the interview and speaking about yourself and the things that you are good at, and I think that a lot of it's stuff you can learn on the job as well. So I didn't think I'd be working with clients and working with local authorities to help deliver projects and stuff like that. I was a history student. Why would I be doing that? But a lot of it comes down to personality as well. And it's the intangible things that you don't think about. So you might have certain certain traits within yourself and your personality that might make you really suited to a role, an internship that's working with a marketing team or something like that. So I'd say don't be off-putted by the fact that you're a history student, because there's no reason why things that you're good at won't fit the role, and that's something I found personally. So I'd recommend just going for things and hopefully they work out. And obviously you've got the Keele Careers team as well, who helped me construct my CV. So when I sent it off for the Mondrem content creator internship, the careers team came back to me. I gave me advice on my CV and ways of presenting it better. So there's a lot of advice out there that can help you present the information that you have in order to give you the best chance of getting on the internship. But I definitely wouldn't be off put by the fact that you're a history student.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, thanks for that advice. It's really helpful. And I'll just open it up to everybody else out there, because I feel like I've spoken for a while just for like one question. If anybody else needs, feel free to talk, do so.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just looking at who else is in the call. I don't want to pick people out who don't want to speak, but it would be good to hear how you're all getting on. So I'm Marion. How are things going for you? Do you study at the moment?
Hi, yeah, I am. I'm in my final year now. I'm studying psychology, so everything I'll say it's okay. It's just getting used to the online stuff, and also I've been kind of looking into like graduate opportunities after I graduate. So yeah,
What sort of things have you been looking at? Things to do with like postgraduate study or graduate jobs?
jobs in particular, but I'm open to postgraduate study. I'm just not sure yet which route I want to go into now.
I think with psychology, the good thing about psychology is there are a lot of options that you can explore. Obviously, there's I know psychology graduates who have gone into things like social work. There's obviously I did a counselling course during my time at Keele. So I think there's definitely a lot of options available. I definitely I would look into internships to see if there'd be any experience that you could get. It's always helpful. But another thing I'd say in terms of, you spoke about graduate jobs. Don't be off put by rejection, because I applied for a lot of graduate schemes, graduate positions, and frequently either didn't get a response or it just got a no. And I went through so many like tests and personality tests and maths tests and everything, and it is difficult. So I would say for someone, you're in your second year now, whatever if there is
third year, sorry,
third year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did get an internship, then that would be it's always helpful. But also, definitely don't close off any options, and I would consider, especially at the moment, postgraduate study is definitely not is definitely a really good option. But so I would still consider that. But if you could find an internship, then it's always an option.
But the thing about internships though is it's hard to find one that is really psychology related, because I would love to have like an internship in the field, but then it's like I can't find anything, because most of the ones that even come up on the careers webpage also are like really not related. So it's a bit hard for me to find internships.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'd recommend booking an appointment with the careers team if you ever felt like you needed any guidance.
Okay.
Like I said, an internship, it's not the be all and end all. It massively helped me, but also, there are a lot of graduate opportunities and a lot of different ones out there, and certainly don't be off put by any rejection. It's never, a lot of the time it's just yeah, it's difficult, but I'm sure there are a lot of options out there, especially for psychology graduates. I can see Rob's got his hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to say, if anyone is interested in internships on offer through Keele at the moment, I've just posted a link in the chat to the current ones that we have. And I just also wanted to add that we do have an event coming up on the 26th of October at 12 that you can book onto, which goes through internships, and that's with Kathy, who's the head of our internships team at Keele.
Thank you very much.
Is it Robert Knoll? Sorry, Robert Knowles, have you got your hand
that's
up?
all right. That's all right. Hi, Bob. I just basically I'm a third year geography student, but I'm in my fourth year technically of study at Keele because I did an international year last year, where I spent the first semester in America, second semester in Spain. So I'm thinking at the moment about what to do after uni, because I'm aware like it's moving really quickly. I can't believe it's sort of mid-October already. But I'm not sure at the moment which path I'd like to take, whether to go into, postgraduate study, do a master's, or get a job straight away. I think at the moment I'm leaning slightly towards, getting a job straight away, just because I feel, like I've done 4 years already. I'm ready to, get a proper job and stuff. I'd like to do something geography related. And I can speak a bit of Spanish as well, so if I can include that as well, that would be good. But at the moment, I'm just not sure. I haven't really started applying for graduate positions yet. But I just wanted to ask you, how easily did you make the transition between being, in the bubble at Keele and a university in general, and getting into, proper, world of work, proper full-time job? How easy did it transition? Did you feel that university could have prepared you better in certain respects, for example? So no,
it's a really good question, because like I said, I was sort of frantic. I left it. It's never too late to start applying for things. I just want to make that point clear. There's positions and opportunities open, even like when you're coming towards the end of your third year and even throughout summer. So I wouldn't worry about the current timings. But obviously, the sooner you can start applying for things, the better in a way. But in terms of the transition, I mean, for me, I'm sort of still in this Keele bubble. I live on Keele Road, and obviously I still work in IC6. So it's so I still feel quite attached to Keele in a way. But which is why it's good that I'm still sort of based in the area. But in terms of transitioning from university to work, I think it massively helped me that the team at Mondrem were incredibly supportive. And I think that is one of the main things, that it's about having sort of a manager or being with a company that is going to be supportive and is going to trust you with responsibility. And one of the things Mondrem do is every intern that comes in is given immediate responsibility in a certain area. And I think this is a point for everyone, that even though you feel like your degree limits what you can actually do, there's at Mondrem, for example, we've had 8 interns since I started in February. And now 6 of them are permanent, and the people who work with us have come from all sorts of degree backgrounds. So we've had geography and geology students. We've had green technology and sustainability, business, me obviously history, marketing and media. We've had people from all sorts of different degree disciplines, but taking a variety of different roles, not necessarily related to their degree. So I think it's important to note that there's always a degree of flexibility in the workplace. I think for me, what helped is that it was a smooth transition. So obviously I started working for Mondrem alongside my degree, just doing 10 hours, around 10 to 12 hours a week. And I started off doing something that was relatively within my comfort zone in terms of writing content. It was something that I really enjoyed. But then I think over time it snowballed a little bit, and I've been given more responsibility as the internship progressed and as I became a permanent member of the team. And the transition I found quite easy for me personally, because it like I said, it was smooth, but also going straight from my degree to carrying on working. I quite enjoyed that, going from one to the other. So I'd say it wasn't daunting because I'd already been in the job, sort of during my studies. So I found it all right, really. And I've just, yeah, it always helps when you've got a supportive team of people around you, and you have those team meetings, those one-to-ones, which I've had. So I've felt comfortable, making that transition. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your. I don't know if you've got anything else you'd like to add, Robert.
No, that's everything. Thanks for that. That helped definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd say definitely don't worry. Obviously, it sounds like you've got quite a very good set of skills as a geography third year, and having spent that time on an international year, which is something I wish I would have liked to have done. So yeah, you've got the skills that can apply, and yeah, like I say, don't close off the idea of postgraduate study. You can always apply for both and graduate jobs or internships, which I would advise, because you don't have to do both. You could turn one down if you went down a certain option. But yeah, especially at the minute, it's definitely not a bad idea to continue studying if you thought that you could get more from it. But yeah, is anyone else got any questions? I'm conscious of the time, so it'd be good to if anyone else would like to say anything. Sorry, Nwaka. Sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong. It'd be interesting to hear what you had to say, if you had any questions.
It's Mamaka.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yes, it's been lovely listening to you on your experiences.
Yeah,
I've just finished my PhD in May, and I've been applying for jobs. So really, it's good to hear that. To hear the possibilities. I've gotten a lot of no responses. One school said they were trying to keep the employment for those that were within the school. So they kind of canceled the advert and then put the application on hold. So there's been disappointments here and there, but there's a lot that could be done. I've used my time to publish papers.
Brilliant.
Learn some new skills. So it's hopefully something will turn up.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. And yeah, like I said to other people here today, just don't be disheartened by any rejection and any no answers, because there will be stuff out there that you'll get and that'll be suitable for you. And it's interesting to hear that you've used the opportunity to publish papers, which sounds really interesting. Can I just ask what? Sorry, I didn't catch the subject you're studying for your PhD.
Okay, I did a PhD in medical entomology.
Wow. So that's above my head.
Okay, really,
it sounds interesting.
medically important insects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah. No, it's. I mean, obviously, I don't know about specific options related to that, but you sound incredibly well skilled and like you've got you have a lot to contribute to wherever you went.
Yeah, but it seems as though the opportunities are fewer.
Yeah, it does feel like that. It does feel like the opportunities are fewer, but as I said at the beginning, there's a lot of there are a lot of small businesses that have been really quick to adapt and quick to sort of change their offerings and their products and services to suit the current needs of the nation. So there are even though it can feel like the job market is sort of shrinking, which to a degree it is. I mean, it's not. It's a difficult time, and it's a difficult time for nationally and for the economy. But like I said, there are a lot of organisations out there that are growing. For example, Mondrem, where I work, we've grown sort of exponentially over the last few months, and we've employed, as I said, 8 interns during that time. So there are organisations out there that are expanding. So even though it can feel like the job market is shrinking, I'm sure there are still options out there. So have you finished your PhD?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So are you currently looking for work or?
Yes,
yeah.
I've been looking for work since May when I did my Viva.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the best.
Thank you. I'm also trying to expand my search.
Yeah.
Beyond academia and research. I mean, I've been listening to different seminars, trying to, bring out all the skills that I've gotten in the course of my PhD, besides, academia, research, and the usual stereotypes, to see if I can fit into any other setting apart from academia and research.
100%. Like there's definitely different ways that you can use your skills. Like there's like things like research and the things that you've done will stretch like far beyond what you currently see in front of you. And I mean maybe that could be another benefit of speaking to a careers team to see where your skills could take you, because I guarantee things like research, as I've found out personally, can lead to lots of different career paths that you wouldn't have considered, and in lots of different sectors. So I personally, like as I said, I've gone from being a history student to working in working in a consultancy. So you just don't know sometimes what's out there, but keep doing what you do and keep going to seminars, keep looking at different options. You're doing all the right things, and soon something is guaranteed to come off, because it sounds like you've got the drive to find something, which is the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you.
I think we've heard from everyone. I'm just looking at the participants. So unless anyone has any final words of wisdom or anything they'd like to ask before we go.
Thanks so much for that, Bob. That was brilliant, and thanks to everyone who contributed and asked some questions as well.
Yeah, no, thank you, and thank you everyone for sharing your experiences. It's been good for me to hear what you're all doing and how you're all coping, and it's good to hear that you all seem like you're doing the right things, and you're doing and you're all looking in the right direction, looking in the right places, and I wish you all of you the best going forward, and good luck in your next sort of steps, and your next, whether that's in a career starting out in your career, or whether that's further study, I'd just say, yeah, definitely don't close off any options, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing. But it's been great speaking to you all today.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
No, yeah, thanks, Bob. It's been really good speaking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, thank you.